Marcel, welcome to the cave.
Thank you for having me.
I have been trying to get you on the show for the last few years. Just let you know that because I'm a huge fan of the show, huge fan of your character, and I'm glad you're here today.
Yo, I'm glad I made it.
So, if the listeners and viewers don't know, you star on CBS's The Neighborhood as Marty, and I can't wait till we dive into that. But one of my first questions I always like to ask my interviews is like, you're an actor, you're in the business, but you decided to take this path into this journey. I want to hear all about that. What made you get into it?
Woo! It was an interesting journey. It definitely wasn't linear. It was one of those situations where, so I consider myself a natural storyteller, entertainer. I come from a very colorful family of a lot of talented storytellers in their own right, though not professionally. And I feel like I've always sort of been a performer. I've always had the ability to sort of capture an audience, and I didn't always channel that into what I do now. Originally, I thought I was going to be like a zoologist. I grew up in New Orleans, born and raised, and so I thought that was the path that I was going to be on. I was like, I'm a scientist. That's what I do. Like, art is my hustle, but I'm a scientist. And then Hurricane Katrina happened when I was 16 years old, and it sort of pushed my family out of the city. We lost our home. We kind of lost a little bit of everything, and we relocated to Texas. And so in Texas, I'm in a very strange place, very different. I don't have anything I'm used to. I don't have any of my friends. I kind of had to start over. So all of the things that I did in New Orleans, all of the things that sort of made me feel like me, weren't easily accessible. And the only thing that was there was acting and singing. And so I joined the choir and I hopped in the theater club, and I was just like, man, let me see what happens. And I think doing that especially at that time, at such a young age, when you're trying to really like process what is happening to you, you don't really know how to comprehend what you lost. Acting and sort of expressing myself in that way gave me sort of an area or a channel to sort of like funnel a lot of that confusion and hurt and frustration, and it allowed me to sort of discover a passion for acting that I sort of buried.
And when I was doing some research on you, I noticed that you did start off like in the theater. Like, what made you like, okay, you wanted to take the next step into like TV and film?
Well, I mean, I'm a theater baby. I'll always be a theater kid, man, at heart. Yeah. But I think I've always wanted to express myself and just tell stories. And I feel like any way that I can tell those stories using what I do, and any way that allows me to sort of provide for myself and do that at the same time is a good option. So when I was in New York, after I got out of grad school, I was hustling. I was doing like stage plays, basement theater plays. I was doing regional theater plays all over the country. But TV and film was always something that those were always mediums that I wanted to sort of jump into and get into, because it's just different. Like, it's the same, you're using the same muscle, it's the same talent, it's the same set of skills, but it's the difference between like running and swimming. It's like the theater is running and TV and film is swimming. You're using all the same body parts, but you're using them differently and in a different way. And sort of stretching myself in that way and being able to sort of cut across all of those mediums is something that's like really important to me as an artist, because they're all different and they all feed me in different ways.
For the theater, you have like the audience also that kind of feeds off you also. Do you feel like that on The Neighborhood also when that gets filmed?
Yeah, man. So like in theater, like it's every night you do a show, it's for that audience. You could do the same show over and over again for 8 months, for a year, you could do the same run. But every night it's for that audience. Sometimes it's their first time and it's their only time that they're ever going to see that play. And so that creates like this kind of magic that it's everything's in a bottle, and it happens for those people. It never happens the same way twice. And it's like this really, really beautiful thing. And so doing a multicam comedy, like doing a multicam sitcom, you kind of get to recreate that in a small part, especially before COVID, where we have a live audience. And for these people, they can go watch the show at home eventually when it airs, but they are the first ones that get to see the show. And they get to see all of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. They get to see the laughs. They get to see the times where we break each other up. They get to see like Cedric the Entertainer, who they've been a fan of this whole time, like really just in his element. And it creates like this, again, this sort of this magic. It's like once in a lifetime kind of situation to where this show is never going to happen again. It's never going to be this way again. Even if you watch it on TV, being there live is like, it's a special kind of agreement between the performers and the audience.
How does it make you feel perform in front of people? Like, do you get like an adrenaline rush, like a rush?
I love it. No, it scares the hell out of me, but I love it. And it scares me in a good way because I don't get stage fright like I'm afraid to perform. Like I'm excited about doing it. It's what I do, but it's like this covenant you have with the audience, and you always want to do your best. You always want to give them like this gift of like what you're doing, because them being there is like giving you a gift of a job. So like you get those butterflies every time that there's a live show. And before COVID, when we had a live audience, because unfortunately we don't have one for the neighborhood now. Before COVID, like we would the whole cast is backstage because they call us out one by one. And so we're all back there and we're like high-fiving each other, and Cedric prays before every show, and everyone, like you feel that energy, like that sort of like jittery butterfly energy. Like I am going to go out there and I'm going to do my best, because there's somebody out there who drove all the way from who knows where just to see the show. There's somebody whose aunt flew into town and they got tickets or whatever case may be. So I want to make sure that I am on and I give them the best show that I can. So you get that like that jittery feeling to like do your best and live up to what you're called to do.
So, but like in theater also, like when you're performing, you know, like you have to be like 100%. You can't even like do like a little script compared to like a sitcom where you might have a blooper or something like that, and then you can go back at it again.
Yeah, that's the saving grace of TV and movies and film. Like you get an opportunity, especially now that they film things digitally.
Yeah.
I feel bad for actors who have to act on tape, but like now that things are digital, you get a moment for a director to be like, cut, like this isn't going well. I lost my line, like cut. In theater, if you lost your line, you better be able to find it. Like you gotta figure out a way to find it. You better be able to improv your ass off, or you better get off that stage. Like you have to find something to help you. And so it creates sort of this really special bond between your cast to where like everybody on stage is like, I got you. There's this agreement of I got you. And I think we have that too. You have a similar aesthetic in a multicam show. Like everybody is prepared for whatever's happening. And especially when you have a comedy where you have Max Greenfield and Cedric the Entertainer going off script all the time because they're talented at it and they're really good at it. So you got to be ready to catch it, because those are some of those moments to where if you catch that like random ad lib or you catch that ball, that could make that scene, and that the editors could use that, and that could be in the episode. If you laugh, which no, it's not a bad thing if you do, but if you laugh or you drop it, that can make the blooper reel, and it'll be fun. But it's so good when Ced does something like randomly, he'll throw it and you catch it, and you keep the scene rolling, like nothing stops, nobody breaks. Those are like really those really cool moments where like I'm sitting at home, because when I watch the show, this is the first time I'm seeing it. I don't get to see, like when we're shooting, we don't get to see what it is. So when I watch it, I'm at home, I'm just like, that was improv. Like Cedric just did that on the spot, or the writers came in and just gave me that line on the spot. Like it's like a really cool sense of pride that I have.
That's great. Yeah, let's keep talking about the show. Season 4 just premiered about a week ago.
Yeah,
and I mentioned I had Sheehan on a few years ago. He went for your role.
He did.
First. Yeah,
he did. Right into the end. We were at the final like screen test callback audition, and Sheehan shows up and he's auditioning for Marty. And I just knew when I saw him that he was auditioning for Malcolm, and he was like, no, I'm going in for Marty. And I'm like, well, if they got Sheehan for Marty, there's no way that they're considering me for Marty. Like, we are totally different actors. And if that's what they want, if any way that's what they want, then I can't even compete. Because Sheehan, at that point, Sheehan is a little ahead in his career than I am. He already has some really nice credits like under his belt, and like he's funny. He's really, really funny. And so I was kind of like, well, this is another one. And like it happens with actors all the time, where you kind of get close and then it doesn't go your way. You get close and it doesn't go your way. So I was just like, all right, man, this is just one of those moments where there's nothing I can do at this point. Like, if that's what they like, that's what they like. If they like what I'm doing, they like what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna go in there and have fun as best I can. And I got the call that I got the job, and I was like, yes, this is so exciting. Like, this is great. And I was just, dang, because I had never met Shion before. I had seen him and I knew his work, but I had just got his number that day. I'll be like, yeah, bro, we should link up and we should hang out and this and another, blah, blah, blah. So after I got that, I was like, man, like, do I call this dude and let him know, or do I give it a little bit of breath? I'm sure his team will call him and let him know XYZ. But then Shion hit me and was like, hey, congratulations, this and the other. Like, I know you got that. I'm going in for your brother. Because Shion didn't even know that was a brother character. He didn't even know Malcolm existed because Shion didn't read the script because he didn't care about the role like I did. So he was just going in like, when you're in pilot season, you just got auditions after auditions after auditions. So Shion went in for Marty not knowing that there was a Malcolm character. So then when he went in for Malcolm, it was such a perfect fit, and I've been grateful to have him on the show ever since.
Yeah. He's a very mellow guy. You could tell he just goes with the flow.
He is. He's a grumpy old man. But one of the coolest in the world.
Oh, yeah, like I said, I had a blast talking to him a few years ago. So you play Marty. Like how fun is it playing this character?
It's a lot of fun. Like, I think I get to tap into my secret nerdy side. Like, I have this like very cool artiste persona. Like, I consider myself to be like a cool dude. And Marty is cool because he owns his nerdiness. Like, he owns who he is. He is probably one of the smartest guys in any room that he's in. He is passionate about the things he's passionate about. He's like a huge fanboy for so many things, and like getting the opportunity to sort of enjoy those moments and play those things so fully is a lot of fun. It's fun to be Marty.
So, like, for the listeners, the viewers, if they watch the first few seasons, you're also kind of like, you moved away at first, a few, and your brother's character, he was at home, but it was like, but you're always showing up because you're like, you kind of like miss the family. You bring your laundry there as one of the episodes, remember? Because so it's like, how fun is it like for that part too? Like, you're trying to be close to your family.
I feel like the writers gave that to Marty, like they wrote that in, it was inherent in his character. And also it's like a mechanism of the show, because like you have all these characters, you got to find a way to justify them all being together. Marty moved out, he has his own apartment, so why would he constantly come back? So they gave him this like need to be close to family, and like he's a little bit of a mama's boy, so he likes to check mom, he likes to be around his family, and the Butlers have a very core family unit, like they're a tight-knit group and they ride for each other. And so I think those aspects of Marty are something that I connect to really well, because I'm that same way. Like my family is like tight, especially my nuclear family. Like we're really close. I love them very much. I try to go to see them any chance and every chance I get, or I'll try to have them come out here and see me. It's been hard since I moved out of the South, because when I went to New York, I couldn't see him as much because I was all the way over there. And now I'm working here in LA, I don't get a chance to see him as much. But I think it's one of those things that I definitely sort of see myself in Marty a lot, just being like very family oriented.
Is there anything you would change about him?
There is nothing I would change about Marty. Marty is probably one of the coolest dudes on the block. I think the only thing, if I could pick one thing, was just to give him a little more reassurance that who he is perfectly okay. Because right now he's on this quest for love. He's at an age to where like he has a good job. He sort of has a good feel on who he is, and he wants somebody to love on. He wants a partner. He wants like just a very talented nerdy girl that compliments him. And so he's kind of on this quest to find that one person, to find a special person. And obviously it helps him grow up and learn about himself as a man, but he changes himself a lot while he is on this journey.
Actually, I was gonna say, like, we always see Malcolm going on dates and everything. It's like, we got to see Marty soon.
We got to see Marty soon. Like Marty is, I feel like in the show, Marty has always been like, dates and relationships have always been just out of grass. Like there'll be a girl on the show that's a love interest, but it'll never work, or he's friend zoned, or whatever the case may be, which happens to so many young brothers out there. Like it's something that people can relate to. So it'll happen. Marty will have his time in the sun. I'm waiting. You know, quality over quantity,
Right.
if you will.
What's been your favorite Marty moment?
Oh
so
man.
far?
In season 1, Marty and Malcolm were babysitting Grover. I forget where. I think they had like a parent-teacher conference or something at the school, and so the Johnsons needed a babysitter. And Shion and I were babysitting Grover, and there's a scene where Marty has to dress up like a dragon, and sort of like they're playing like knights, the round table and things like that.
Yeah.
So they got like cardboard swords, and Shion and Grover are fighting, and they have to kill this fire-breathing dragon. And I just got to be a plum fool for like maybe 30 minutes on set. I just got to really just cut up in every way that I can. And it was a lot of fun as an actor. Like I got to explore physical comedy in that way. It took us forever to get through that scene because Malcolm kept laughing, like Shion kept breaking, because everybody was breaking. It was one of those moments where I was like, I got this. Like I'm doing my thing.
Awesome. How is it working with the rest of the cast? Also,
it's a blessing. It's a blessing, man. It's probably one of the best casts on TV, and I'm not taking that lightly. Like these people work hard. They're talented. Any one person on our show could have a whole show to themselves. Any episode on The Neighborhood could be about any one of these characters, and it would still be a good episode. And behind the scenes, like we really like each other. Like there's no weirdness. There's no like Hollywood stuff. Like we really are a close cast. Like we really care about each other. I was hanging out with Beth and Shion at her house. She invited us for brunch, and she made like a pastry like dish that Shion and I had never heard of. We attributed it to culture because Black people don't really necessarily eat this thing, but I don't know anybody who eats this thing. It's called a buckle, like a blueberry buckle.
Never heard of it.
Exactly. It's basically like a coffee cake fused with like a cobbler. So it's blueberry based like tart or whatever. But Beth Bears kept talking about this thing that she wanted to make us, and we were like, Shion and I both were like, what the hell is that? What is a buckle? So we finally got a chance to try that. And we have moments like that all the time. Like I feel like Ced has really taken me and Shion under his wing. Tashina is always constantly looking out for us. Like we always kick it with each other. It's a close cast.
How do you describe the chemistry between you and her? Because you guys have like a special bond on the show.
Yeah, no, it was easy. It's so easy playing Tasha Arnold's son. One, I have that like built-in reverence for her just from being a fan and like watching her as a kid, like growing up, watching her work throughout the years. Like that's Tasha Arnold. Like that's Pam from Martin. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's Marcel from Everybody Hates Chris. Like you see that and you're like, yo, this is Tasha Arnold. So I had that sort of like reverence for her going into the show, but meeting her, Tashina is so dope. She's so generous. She's so giving. She is definitely like that crazy auntie that loves you and is like very vocal about that love. She's very doting. She looks out for everybody on the show, especially her sons on the show. And so we have a really cool relationship. I feel like Tashina is always trying to like corrupt us, but also like educate us. So she'll have like every Friday, Tashina has like drinks in her dressing room. And so cast and crew can come over. Not as much anymore because of the COVID. So there's like zones that we have to stay in to where people aren't mixing. But Tashina will still have like a smaller gathering in her room where we'll just hang out and drink and talk and laugh. And so it's a close and easy like friendship / mentorship relationship.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, season 4 just premiered. How many episodes are we expecting this season? Do you have any idea?
This season, I think we got 21. Okay. I think we got 21 episodes coming. So right now, we just aired 3. That was episode 2.
Episode 2 was this past week.
Yeah, that was episode 2 of the 21. And we just finished filming episode 6 of 21. Okay. So we chugging along. We usually say about 3 weeks ahead of the air date. Okay. So we're usually 3 or 4 episodes ahead of whatever's airing.
How long does it take you guys to film one episode? Is it just one day usually for something like that?
Yeah, well, the whole process takes a week.
Okay.
So for a multicam comedy, we rehearse for 4 days, and we shoot one. So we'll come in Wednesday. We'll have a table read for a new episode. We will rehearse that episode that day. We'll have like fittings or whatever the case may be after that. And then Thursday we rehearse. It's a big rehearsal day. Friday is a big rehearsal day. Monday is a shoot day. So that's when we start putting stuff in front of the camera, any of the bigger set pieces that need to be shot. And then Tuesdays used to be filming days when we would do it for our live audience. But now Tuesdays are an extra shoot day to get all of those pieces that we need. But it takes a week to do one episode of The Neighborhood.
That's awesome. Any other projects that you got coming out that you're going to be working on that you could tell us about?
Not yet. Not so there. I have some ideas, and there's some things that I'm trying to like write / produce and figure out, but nothing concrete yet that I can talk about.
Yeah. Are we going to see you back in the theater world soon too?
Oh man, and any chance I get, I'll go back and do a stage play. The difficulty is with the schedule, because The Neighborhood is a priority, and like we're under contract to complete that and sort of honor that. Yeah. It's hard to do other things outside of that. So once we're done shooting, I have to kind of decide, like, do I have time to do a play? If there's a play around, like, can I do it? Like, will I get cast? Do I have time to do a movie? Do I have time to do an indie film? Do I have time to pick up like a mini series on HBO or something? And so we have like the whole cast is like constantly auditioning and trying to figure out like what we can do in the off season. So it's tricky.
What would you want to do? Miniseries, HBO, something like that?
I think a miniseries could be fun, especially something a little more dramatic, a little edgy or a little dangerous. Because I enjoy playing Marty, but as an actor, like you want to get into some of those other like meatier kind of roles. And
you want a challenge.
Yeah, man. So a miniseries is fun because it's like miniseries are great because it's like shooting a film. They shoot it single camera style, so it feels like a movie, but it's longer. Yeah. I don't know how much fun it is to shoot because sometimes those are long days and long nights and long weeks, but you get a chance to tell a story over a bigger arc. You get to be really specific about the characters. You get to get like really nitty gritty about things. So I think a miniseries could be dope. That's
awesome, man. Lastly, man, while we're ending this interview, how can the listeners and the viewers find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Marcel Spears. And I think that's it. I think I do have a Facebook, but Facebook is for like my aunties, my grandma, and like church ladies, like old classmates from high school that you're kind of like, oh, that dude exists and he has like 5 kids. All right, cool. So yeah, I think Instagram and Twitter are probably the easiest ways to catch me. And then you can catch me on the show.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you can catch me on the show Monday nights.
That's right. Yeah, man, I want to thank you for coming on, man. This was a blast. Let's get you back on.
Yeah, man.
This was
great.
Now
you not in context, so you can hit me anytime.